So I think that's like definitely kind of an exciting.
Norwegian construction is not bam, done. I can get access to information that, maybe the broader community can't. Episode 9 of the Shell Cordovan Podcast. I'm David. For those of you that are new here, I run my Instagram account and this YouTube channel that you're probably watching this podcast on by the name of Shelvage. These are a combination of my two biggest passions when it comes to traditional footwear, like welded leather boots, leather shoes that are made out of Shell Cordovan. The other piece is the menswear aspects, particularly selvage denim, hence Shelvage. Normally what we do is we walk through the industry news, so I look at the blogs such as like the Shoe Snob blog, Shoegazing blog. I'll look at, comments on my Instagram, comments on YouTube videos, any new YouTube videos that other creators or members of the menswear community may have created, anything that I think I have something of value to add or share some commentary on. We usually round this out with a rant where whatever like comment, post, or general topic, whatever really kind of drives that passion that particular week, I'll kind of rant and share my perspective, kind of get on my get on my high horse and kind of share why I think I'm right and somebody else is definitely wrong. But today's going to be a little bit different. Now, over the last couple of months, I've had a lot of videos, a lot of things that I've wanted to create, share, and just kind of publish on this platform for everyone. And I haven't really necessarily had the ability to do it. Just busy life, new growing family, and kind of brain dump all of those content ideas, those updates about a pair of shoes that I stretched 6 months ago and never kind of circled back to did it work, did it not work? Some updates about some menswear, some selvage denim that I've gotten recently, some trousers that I've gotten, different items where I don't necessarily have all of the pieces to make a kind of a full-length video, dedicated video on its own, but if I can kind of jam-pack this with 3 to 4 minute segments of 5 or 6 different things, everyone kind of gets a little taste and a little bit of things that they've been asking for, and I just haven't delivered on. We're going to deliver on it now. Before I get into that, though, I do want to kind of share a friendly reminder. The Super Trunk Show is coming to New York on October 14th. That's put on by Kirby Allison, the Shoe Snob, Justin Fitzpatrick, Shoegazing blog, which is Jesper, and I'll be there. I'm going to be managing or running the table and the display and the kind of showcase for Acme Shoemaker. More details on that maybe later, but if you are going, definitely let me know. If you're not going, but now have decided you may go, let me know as well. Either way, if you guys are there, would love to kind of meet you, get to know you a little bit more. Put a face to maybe a comment that you guys have shared in the past. Let's go ahead and get started with some of this content I've been teasing about. And finally, I'm going to deliver.
Let me interrupt real quick. I got an email from Carmina, and I want to definitely include my thoughts on this email in the podcast this week. Experience True Luxury, introducing Carmina's Bespoke service launch, which definitely grabs the attention, right? Same thing to start off, and I'll read the email here really quick for those that are just listening to the podcast. But it says step into the future of luxury footwear with Carmina Shoemaker's unparalleled bespoke shoe service. Using the world's most advanced foot scanner, we're pioneering an experience where each shoe is tailored to the unique contours of your feet, ensuring an unmatched fit and elegance. And then it has event details, dates October 12th to the 15th, location Carmina Shoemaker, 509 Madison Avenue, New York. 509 Madison Avenue Street. I don't think it's Madison Avenue Street. I think it's just Madison Avenue. But for an exceptional value starting at $16.50, you'll receive bespoke shoe crafted with meticulous attention. Our artisans will interpret the foot's information and then adapt the pattern to shape the perfect last. While many seek luxury, few encounter true craftsmanship and exclusivity at such a distinctive rate. Don't miss a singular opportunity to experience the pinnacle of footwear artisanship. Join us at our Madison Avenue location, Redefine luxury with Carmina Shoemaker's bespoke experience. And then at the bottom, further down, it says, if you're unable to attend our New York event but are interested in our bespoke shoe service, please contact us via email. We'd be delighted to assist you. So a few thoughts first, just things that are popping out. So first it has event details, a singular event, and it also says a singular opportunity. But then it also says it's the launch of the bespoke shoe service. So it's, not entirely clear exactly if this is an ongoing thing or if this is just going to be a one-time event. Additionally, it kind of talks about the foot scanning. Well, it doesn't talk about the technology. It just talks about the fact that it's a foot scanner that's going to be, capturing the shape and contours, as they say it, of your foot. The other thought, $1,615 to, is the starting price, which for a bespoke shoe, that's kind of unheard of. If this is a handmade shoe or if it's still being made in the factory, obviously those are two distinctive differences. And I'll kind of reserve judgment until we kind of find out more information. But overall, I think it's encouraging as well as consistent with Carmina's messaging of late, which is luxury. Just luxury and exclusivity, which is kind of veering away from the tradition of just quality, welded footwear. Not that it's a good or a bad thing, but those terms kind of indicate more on the high fashion side of the world versus the tradition, classic, traditional footwear, menswear, classic menswear side of the world. Is it Goodyear welded? Is it hand welded? I would assume it's Goodyear welded. It's just the same as one of their shoes that they're making for their, MTO programs, but they're making it off of a last, either modified or made from scratch based off the scan of your foot. And we'll have to find out. Definitely an unexpected piece of news and figured it was worth sharing. Let me know what your thoughts are, and let's get back to the regular podcast.
Okay, so the first one is an update on this pair of Meckery Yellow Peccary penny loafers. This is something that for those that are watching on YouTube. I'll switch over to another angle so that you can actually see the penny loafer. But essentially, I stretched this using a kind of method that I came up with based off of combining a number of other methods. You can check that out if you're interested. Just wait until after the podcast and then check that out. But I wanted to share an update as far as did that method work? Now that it's 6 months later, what do I think? The first one is probably obvious, and that is I still have them. If there was no hope and it didn't work at all, it'd be safe to say that I wouldn't have these anymore. Now, this is one of my favorite penny loafers that I have. The main reason that it's not my favorite is because of the fit. If you want to, again, check out the video. It has all the details about, why the fit isn't what I wanted. Let's just talk about the stretching and did it work? Essentially, the method that I used at the time was just kind of sliding a bunch of plastic, shims or shivs or whatever you want, shims, into the shoe right here and stretching it. And it worked. It definitely stretched it. The main impediment to that being a resounding success was how annoying it was. Every time I wanted to wear the shoe, I would have to pull this out, and then 10 of these things would fall out of each shoe all over the place. And then when I put the shoe tree back in, I'd have to do the same thing all over again. Shoe is not destroyed. Success. All right. But seriously, so I have a whole hide of this leather back a ways back there. So what I did, I was the problem is that I need to have a fitting piece added to the lasted shoe tree to maintain the stretch in between wears. So I cut, a size of that piece of leather. And then the question was, how do I attach it? I'm going to cut over to just some iPhone video that I shot while I was doing it, just in case it did work. I was I need proof that it worked. So I just used like double-sided tape, actually like flooring tape, like carpet tape. Put 2 strips on the back of the leather, pulled the reverse side of the tape off, smashed it down, held it there, inserted the tree. Definitely a bit of a tight fit at first, but I fully like saturated the leather upper here. And then I inserted it, fully saturated it again, put some isopropyl alcohol spray on there as well. Not a particular like stretching spray, just water. And then I added the alcohol myself, and then I conditioned it, while I let it dry, overnight. Then I conditioned it, let that dry very well, and then polished it up. And winner, chicken dinner. So for all of you that have been asking or curious about that, definitely works. The main like deal breaker as far as like it's amazing, best solution ever is figuring out how to maintain the stretch in between times that you wear it, and this is the perfect solution that I found. Hopefully, like this should be pretty straightforward and simple enough for everyone else. If you just have like a real leather insole, or you can just buy like a real leather insole and then just cut the perfect shape out, attach that to the facing of the shoe tree or wherever you need to get that stretch. Bam, done. The next thing that I want to talk about is we're going to kind of jump back and forth here a bit, and it's going to be a comment or a question from good friend of the podcast, good friend of mine. I don't know if he's a friend of the podcast, Kenwin Small. He is the founder of Crew Nonpareil Shoes, and he left a question for me on my pod inbox. I'll put that link out there. If you guys want to do the same, questions, comments, feedback, thoughts, any of that kind of stuff, throw it in there. I'll respond to it in the next podcast. His question is, what is a pet peeve you have about the classic menswear space? And the second question is also, are there any leathers you would say is the least interesting? I'm going to go with the leather question first. For me, the least interesting this is going to be like a group of leathers here. The least interesting has got to be kind of like the heavily waxed pull-up type leathers. CXL, I kind of exclude from that, but I'm thinking like wax, like waxy flesh or flesh waxed something. Sometimes like different suedes, like suede will fall into that. The reason I say it is one of the things, like they're great leathers, very resilient, very robust. They have a very particular, strength and serve that very well. Perfect use cases for those. And I have pairs of shoes in suede and CXL and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that I enjoy most about, being able to actually like enjoy the shoes is being able to care for them. Part of that is like the polishing or the conditioning process. Sometimes giving it a mirror shine or a high shine. You just don't really get to have that same like interaction with, one of the, the items that we kind of enjoy and have, collections of. So because of that, it kind of dulls it out for me a bit. Yeah, I mean, that's really what comes to mind is that the least interesting or the least exciting are the leathers that, don't really require a lot of like hands-on care. Not a lot, but just any hands-on care. Suede is like no-brainer. Wax, flesh, I think that's what it's called. It's probably like a conditioning like once a decade, and there's don't get me wrong, those things are great. Like that type of characteristic has a widespread application. It's just for me, I prefer something that I get to interact with more than when it's just on my foot. What is a pet peeve that I have about the classic menswear space? This one, I have to figure out how to limit it to just one pet peeve. Just kidding. But seriously, it's going to be how the trend in the industry, both from the makers, the artisans, as well as the consumers or the actual community of consumers, is, the emphasis on individual like details as opposed to the value of like the overall sum. What I mean by that is, there's kind of like a rising level of excitement or just there's a trend around blind waist, Norwegian construction, pie crust aprons. All of these individual details that are just like one characteristic of the shoe, of the boot, of the selvage denim, depending on what it is. It's just like there's always like one thing that is attracting people because it's a characteristic of, the upper echelon of that market. And once that kind of like, whatever this means, for those of you that are just listening, I'm not sure what I'm doing with my hands here, but once that kind of like trickles down into like the mid upper echelon of the market and then into the mid range and then into the entry level, it not just like waters down the value of it, but folks start just buying the shoes because they want to buy the detail. They're like, oh, I want a split toe derby that has a pie crust apron, or I want a Norwegian constructed shoe. They probably are going to say a Norwegian welded shoe because most of the times it's just like they want the ability to have that aesthetic, which there's like value in, and I get that. I'm not saying that that's a problem, but what I see is the problem is that when there's such a plethora of new shoemakers, of new denim brands, of new menswear brands that introduce themselves, they put a focus on the trends because they're like, oh, well, obviously people are going to be more interested in my like $400 shoe if I have one detail that's reminiscent of like a $1,500 shoe, and the lasts are going to be meh, the leather's going to be meh, the overall aesthetic's going to be but it's going to have a high stitch density, or it's going to have a blind waist or the aesthetic of a fiddleback waist, and it's going to sell like those people. But then everybody that's entering the market as a maker is doing that same type of thing, and there's there's very few, proportionally speaking, in the market, new makers that are like, I'm going to just take all that time and effort that it takes to learn that skill and put it into designing very elegant, refined, technically and anatomically like beautiful fitting and looking lasts. Or I'm going to split that between the lasts and archetyping like perfect patterns that go with those lasts. Instead, they're like, we just have to make the last so that we can make the shoe, and then we're going to focus on just doing the highest stitch density possible. Or we're going to get any kind of leather, and we're going to be able to make like hole cuts for like $50. I'm exaggerating, and I'm not speaking to any one maker here, for those of you that may get upset, but that's my pet peeve. I would much rather see some of these like new makers that are coming into the market prioritize the foundational skills that more classically trained shoemakers, bootmakers, have to learn in their training, because that's going to propel them into like more success would be my guess, because they're going to have better fitting shoes. They're going to actually like look better. Like there's a reason that the shoemakers that are better have better looking shoes, and the other shoemakers have like aspects that look like that shoe, but the whole aesthetic silhouette doesn't look like that shoe. It's because it's not just how like one part of the shape is made, one part of the fit is done. It's how all of those individual pieces are able to be crafted together in a very harmonious and anatomical shape that both like looks beautiful but is emblematic of how a foot behaves and how a shoe needs to fit a foot. So that pet peeve is like, stop prioritizing stupid trends that people just buy because of the trend, and prioritize the foundational elements of your craft so that you're able to make a very beautiful, functional, and detail-oriented shoe, or boot, or pair of selvage, or suit, whatever it is that you want to do. Nail the foundational elements, let the trends go where they go. Building off of one of the topics that I just mentioned there is Norwegian construction. Not, again, like directing this at anybody in particular, but Norwegian construction is not a welded construction. Let me explain what I mean. Now, Norwegian constructed shoes or boots can have a welt, and in today's market, they normally do. But the welt is not one of the critical structural pieces of the construction, meaning that you can, and normally, traditionally, classically, make a Norwegian constructed shoe without a welt. It normally goes right into the midsole or outsole. The welt is kind of more contemporarily used, if that's the right nomenclature, as they say. As who says, not me, but the welt is really introduced more recently as a piece of the anatomy of a Norwegian constructed shoe, and that's because there's no reason not to. Most people are kind of more used to that aesthetic and aren't always so fond, I think, of having the look of the upper kind of folded out over the midsole or the outsole of the shoe. So it's just something that kind of has been adopted, but again, the welt is not one of the core structural pieces of the Norwegian construction. Therefore, it is a hand-sewn construction, but it is definitely not a welded construction. Now, when I say a hand-sewn construction, it's that's hand-welded. Norwegian construction is not hand-welded, it is hand-sewn. So it's still being sewn by hand. Norwegian construction can only be sewn by hand. There's not a machine Norwegian construction. That's a separate topic, but hand-sewn is a construction for what you're classifying a Norwegian construction as, and then hand-welded is when you are hand-sewing the welt as the core structural element of the shoe. You're hand-sewing the welt on, hand-welded. Hand-welded, Norwegian construction. Sometimes Norwegian construction has a welt, but Norwegian construction is not a hand-welded construction. You get it? By the time that you guys are seeing this podcast, as I move into my next topic without any warning there, hopefully I'll have dropped, I'll have published 1 or 2 more videos, and it's going to be more focused in the menswear area. So I just got this amazing pair of denim from Okayama Denim, Studio Day Artisan. I always want to say Studio Day Artisanal, but that's definitely not their name. It's Studio de Artisan. And this is their origin pair, which is essentially the pair of denim that's emblematic of their kind of core original denim, hence the name, the origin pair. Absolutely love it. It has some of the coolest details, like this kind of tab cinch, or a tab adjuster across the back of the denim. Just a 15-ounce classic, epitome of the blue jean denim, classic straight fit. Definitely a different kind of denim than anything that I've ever had, but honestly, it's also some of the nicest that I've ever just felt. So I'm really excited for that video. It's probably already up. I'll link it over here, right where you see the sweatshirt. Just click the sweatshirt, and you'll find that video. The other video that will be coming out this week is the essential socks that every man needs. We're kind of talking about the wide range of different socks, and looking at, in particular, a specific selection of them, and I'm really excited for that video as well. It's kind of given me the opportunity to partner with a long-time, business acquaintance in the community and in the market, and really excited to kind of share that with everyone and see how well that goes over, as I know there's been different levels of interest in kind of broadening the conversation, not just about shoes or menswear, but some of the accoutrements that are part of the equation. And obviously you need socks. The other thing that I haven't really shared, and I haven't actually made a video about, but it definitely fits within that same realm, is I got 3 new pairs of trousers from Spear McKay. This is I got a navy moleskin, a mid-gray Prince of Wales pattern, and an olive cotton chino-ish trouser. These are also a different, I would say, a more classic fit than the contemporary-ish type fit that I've gotten from them in the past, and I absolutely love it. High rise, pleated, tabbed waist. Those are things that I've already had in the past, but it's just the overall cut and the silhouette of those trousers, and what I'm thinking about there, and I would love to hear everyone's thoughts, is like, would you guys be interested in not just like seeing, like, because it can't be an unboxing. I've already unboxed them. So it's not an unboxing. It's not a review. But just kind of like seeing like, hey, like here are the trousers that I've had. Here are the most recent ones that I got. And this is what I prefer from a fit perspective now. Here's why. And kind of like show like the evolution of like what I've gotten over the years. Why I prefer different things. Just like my personal opinion on like why it is I bought what I bought. And what I like about it and what I don't like about it. Would that be something you guys are interested in seeing? If so, I'll do my best. It's kind of like branching into a completely different realm of, the menswear industry, the menswear market, topics. But it's definitely something that like intrigues me. I just don't have as much like experience or knowledge or foundational like understanding of how it all works, but would love to learn, and maybe this is the best way to start learning. I'm going to plug the trunk show one more time. I don't get paid. I don't get anything out of this, but I do prefer to have a good time while I'm there, and the more people, the more of you that are there, I think the better overall time that it'll be. So I highly encourage, and I'll link the information in the show notes and in the description of this podcast, which is October 14th in New York City, run by Kirby Allison, Justin Fitzpatrick, otherwise known as the Shoe Snob, Jesper from Shoegazing Blog, and I'll be there representing Acme Shoemaker, running their table. We'll have a whole 20 different pairs of like sample shoes. I think see the different shoes. I think it'll be it should be like a very, very great experience, and I'm looking forward to being there, and hopefully looking forward to seeing you all there. If you guys made it this far into the podcast, really do appreciate it. It's not just like a matter of, oh, I got like a bunch of views. It's not that at all, to be honest. I don't really care that much about the views, but all those things, all those factors kind of play a role in metrics and being able to like partner and get access to things I wouldn't otherwise have access to, which allows me to create content I wouldn't otherwise be able to create content for. Now, yeah, that's, there's nice things about that. I get sometimes things sent to me for free. Sometimes I get something sent to me for free, and then I end up spending 40 hours of my own time making a video. So it's not like, a complete freebie. If you all are enjoying this and want to see more and want to see different things, commenting, watching the videos, engaging, letting me know like what it is that you like, what you want to see, what you don't want to see. That's like, it's beneficial for everyone that's in the same boat as you. If you guys want to see more videos, if you would want to see more podcasts, whatever it is that you want to see, there's a trade-off here. There's like an expectation of like, I love creating the content. I love making the videos, experiencing all these different things. I love diving into the weeds of the details, understanding it all, and then being able to put that in a hopefully compelling story or message for everyone to enjoy, be entertained by, hopefully learn something from. But, it's kind of like that exchange of like, I need to kind of like hear from you. I need to get the support from you all. And then I can do that. And I greatly enjoy doing it. All that being said, if you made it this far, please leave a comment and let me know like what your favorite like format of the podcast has been. If it's been this more kind of like, like buffet style of topics, kind of diving into some of these smaller things that don't necessarily need a video of its own, or if you prefer the old style, which is kind of like very rigorously structured. I don't really know what I prefer, but kind of enjoy them both. Would love to know what you guys know. Would love to hear what you guys think. And if you leave that comment, that's how I'll know that you made it this far into the video, and we'll be able to prioritize getting back to that comment over everyone else's. Really do appreciate it. If you haven't checked out the videos over here, definitely do so. Again, I'll link the video right here about my new pair of Studio de Artisan from Okayama Denim, and also this video will be right here. That is the essential socks that every man needs. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys very soon.
509 Madison Avenue Street. I don't think it's Madison Avenue Street. I think it's just Madison Avenue, but